I have a saying that I teach people in my day job around this. It's um, it's play to win and stop playing for second place,
Yeah.
play for first, right? Like,
Yeah.
and that's the premise of it is, um, let's build a strategy for first place, not second, you
Yeah.
know, like things like that. And I see a lot of time that people, they build a strategy or they build, their mentality around just for good enough. And it's like, no, let's stop playing for second place.
Oh, that phrase drives me nuts. Good
And
enough.
so I have come to tell, I've told many people this is, we're not playing for second place, right?
Yeah.
And we're building this thing for first place. And people
I
look at me like
agree
we're crazy,
100%.
and I'm like, no, we're playing to win. And they look at you kind of like, but
Well,
no, like
Zach, and I think part of that mentality comes from the military. I mean,
mhm.
there is no second place. I mean, you,
Second place is you're dead.
yeah. So I think that's ingrained in us that you got to be the best at whatever you do. And, and again, my father, growing up, he called it the 75% rule. And he used to tell me, son, if you can't do something better than 75% of the people doing it, then you need to do one of two things. You either need to figure out how to get better at it, or you need to go find something else to do because obviously it doesn't matter to you. And so I kind of lived that life. And I took that to heart. And I try to be the best at whatever I do. Now, obviously, you're never going to, there's always somebody better, but you always try to do the best you can do and be the best you can be. And as a leader, the people you have the privilege to lead, and it is a privilege to get to lead
Yes.
people, they, you owe it to them to be the best leader you can be and to
Yep.
make them the best they can be. So I've always believed that, and I've always taken that to heart.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Um, so I got a question for you. What what is your perspective and opinion on um, title versus leadership? And
Yeah.
let me explain on that before you answer. So um, often people have a preconceived or predetermined disposition on leadership and title, um, are codependent. What's your thoughts on that?
I don't think they are. Now, let's be honest. In the military, you got a hierarchy. People follow the lieutenant because he's the lieutenant or she's the lieutenant. However, having said that, there's a difference between following somebody, doing what they ask you to do, and actually wanting to do what they ask you to do. And I've had my hand in helping to commission over 550 lieutenants for the Army and for the nation. And every single one of them that I've had my hand in commissioning, I would go up to them the day they got commissioned and I'd say, look, celebrate today. Today is all about you. After today, when we pin those bars on your shoulder, it will never be about you ever again. It is about the people that you have a privilege to lead, the organization you get to lead. It's about the mission. It's about the Army. It's about the nation. And then if we have time, we might talk about you, maybe. You know, Look, it's about servant leadership. That's what leadership should be about, is service. And it doesn't matter what profession you are, servant leadership is the best type of leadership. And if you go into it that way and you take care of the people that you have the privilege to lead, then they will make sure that you're successful because they they want to follow you. Not they don't have to. They want to. Now, look, again, leaders generally have a title, they generally get better pay, they get more privileges, and all those things are nice. And but if that's the only reason you want to be the leader, go do something else because you're not going to be any good at it.
Yep.
Because the you don't have to have a title to be a leader. And if you don't believe me, go out on a playground with a bunch of 5 to 10-year-olds. Somebody on there is the leader. The kids are following somebody. Nobody made that kid the leader, but he or she is the leader and people are following them. You don't need a title to
Yeah,
be a leader. It's all about what you do to help people. That's what that's what leadership is about.
I'm writing that down. I love it, and I completely agree with you. I was sharing this with someone else, and they might even been on this on a previous episode. But I was on a plane ride coming back home, and I was sitting next to a person on the plane, and we were talking about this exact thing. And I'm like, you don't need a title to lead.
Yeah.
And they're like, I've never heard of that before. And I'm like, help me understand this. They're like, no, like I can't lead. I don't have the title of this thing. And I'm like, come on. And like I'm like, let me introduce you to some new leaders to read about, to think about, to watch. And they're like, okay. And I'm like, I need to help change your perspective on this. Like you
Right.
don't have to have the title to be in a position to help make an impact and influence. Leader,
I
that's what
absolutely
leadership's about.
agree. It was funny. My wife and I are very involved in our Catholic church, and and I have some leadership positions there, and I have some positions I'm not the leader. I'm just the worker bee. I'm doing whatever it is I'm being asked to do. And somebody told my wife one time, she said, your husband is a leader in a lot of different things. And she said, my husband doesn't have to be the leader, but if there is a vacancy, if there's a void in leadership, he's stepping in and taking charge. Because you don't have to have the title, you just need to make a difference. If there's something that needs to be done, you need to do it. I did a lot of work with the Stetson football coach and his team here in Central Florida. And one of the things that I really tried to drill into the football players was, look, you may not be the captain. You may not be one of the 6 captains that the coach has picked. Doesn't mean that you can't be a leader. Here's an example. One of your buddies drops a pass in the end zone that would have won the game for you, but you lose. Here's whether or not you're a leader or not. You walk up to how you react to that. You walk up to that young man and you say, "Hey, got it. You didn't catch the ball this time, but we need you for the next game. Get your head on straight and catch the ball the next time." Or do you chew the guy out and make him feel horrible?
Mm-hmm.
You try to make him a better person and a better
Mm-hmm.
player. That again, that's what leadership is about. Making everybody around you better so that the organization is better.
Yeah, I was on. It's really funny. So I was on a tram at an airport. You know how like you go and you get off and you go from like one gate to the next to
Yeah.
catch your flight. And there was this gentleman who was one of the head coaches for University of Central Florida, Division One,
Right.
and this was within the last few weeks. And I met him, and I'm not going to say his name because I don't think that's appropriate, but he's one of the head coaches, and I hope he watches this. And it was a really great interaction, and we were talking about the impact of the NIL name and like on football and recruiting and just overall leadership within football teams now in collegiate sports. And you brought up Central Florida. That's what made me think of this. And before this interaction happened, before I started talking to him, I went to go get on the tram. And you know how you like the gates open to the door, you like go to walk in, and you got like, there's literally like a minute and a half before you can get on and the door shut and it goes to the next thing.
Right.
I witnessed such a magical moment happen in that minute and a half or whatever that time frame is, that I had my bag and I was walking to go get on, and I don't know who these guys are at this moment. And I see this exchange, this authentic, genuine exchange. This dude comes off the tram and he sees this coach, and the level of authentic excitement that came off of the guy coming off, seeing the coach,
Right.
lit him up like that. And like damn near tears, like of just sheer excitement. Now, I don't know what relationship this person has with the coach from UCF, right? But I see it happen. And that moment of like man hug, we're gonna hug it out. They could have sat and talked for years.
Right.
They have like a minute, minute and a half, and he goes and he gets on the thing, and um, you could just see it. Like I saw the impact that that had on that coach when we got on the train, and
Sure.
the coach and I have like 3 minutes together after this, right? And I watch him for a second, and I'm physically watching his disposition and what it meant to him in return. The impact of that moment on that coach in
Yeah.
return was magical.
So, and I talk about this a lot, mentorship. And my guess is that he was a mentor of this young man. And mentorship works both ways. You are imparting knowledge and skills and ability and all that kind of stuff onto the people that you mentor. And it's huge. You need to be a mentor. If you're a leader, if you tell me you're a leader and you're not mentoring somebody, I'm questioning whether or not you're a leader because you need to. But it also comes back. Like I said, I've helped commission 550 something lieutenants, and a lot of them stay in contact with me. And and it does, just like you're saying. I mean, it makes me feel good when somebody sends me an email and say, "Hey, sir, you know what? I just got promoted, or this is my new job. Any advice?" It definitely is a two-way street. Being a mentor is a two-way street. It's not just you imparting your knowledge, it's you getting back from that person as well.
Yeah. And so I have a total of 5 minutes, right, in this total ecosystem with this coach and his life. And I talked to him for 2 minutes of it. And it was clear of that mentorship moment